South Pacific and Oceania. Presentation by Cassidy McCackern, Hannah Wheeler,
Laura King,
and Sandra Rubin.
Oceania is divided into three different areas: Melanesia, Micronesia, and Polynesia. We have chosen an island from each of the three areas to give a more in-depth look of those areas. In Micronesia, there is Guam. In Melanesia, there is New Guinea. And in Polynesia, there is Samoa. So starting off with the physical geography of Guam. The island of Guam is approximately 30 miles in length with a variable width ranging from 12 miles to 4 miles at its most narrow point. Two-thirds of Guam, the central and northern features, are primarily raised limestone with several volcanic formations. The southern features are basically volcanic with an elongated mountain ridge dividing in inland valleys and coastline. So some of the natural resources within Guam are fishing and tourism. Guam's terrain has a volcanic origin, which is causing it to be surrounded by coral reefs, relatively flat coralline limestone plateau with steep coastal cliffs and narrow coastal plains in the north, low hills in the center, mountains in the south. The climate of Guam is a tropical marine, so it's generally warm and humid, moderated by northeast trade winds, with a dry season from January to June and a rainy season from July to December, with little seasonal temperature variation. The physical geography in Papua New Guinea. The island of New Guinea is the second largest island in the world and includes Panuka Jaya, the highest peak in Southeast Asia and Australia. The terrain of New Guinea is mostly mountainous with coastal lowlands and rolling foothills. Some natural resources include gold, copper, silver, natural gas, timber, oil, and fisheries. The climate of New Guinea is tropical with northwest monsoons from December to March, southeast monsoons from May to October, and slightly seasonal temperature variation. Lastly, for physical geography is Samoa. Samoa is a group of islands located in the South Pacific Ocean. Samoa consists of two main islands as well as several small islands and uninhabited islets. The main islands of Samoa are Upolu and Savaii. The climate is tropical, mild to warm temperatures year-round, rainy season from November to April, and a dry season from May to October. Apai has January average temperature of 86 degrees and a July low temperature of 73.4 degrees. The terrain of the two islands and several smaller islands and uninhabited islets are narrow coastal plains with volcanic, rocky, rugged mountains in the interior. Some natural resources include hardwood forests, fish, and hydropower. So here's some pictures just of the three different islands. They're kind of scattered all around. There's about 2 pictures of each.
So for the biogeography of New Guinea, some of the birds that can be found in New Guinea are the Ragiana bird of paradise, the ribbon-tailed Astrapia, six-wired bird of paradise, and the blue bird of paradise. Some mammals unique to New Guinea are the Huon tree kangaroo, the tenkile, the lowland tree kangaroo, the Papuan forest wallaby, the Bismarck flying fox, the painted ringtail, the woodlark cuscus, Tate's trioc, the flying river water rat, and the giant bandicoot. Mount Russell forest snake, the Bismarck sharp-nosed blind snake, the East Papuan killback, the Papua forest dragon, the Admiralty spiny skink, the bumblebee gecko, the Pritchard's snake-necked turtle, and the variegated giant soft-shell turtle are also unique reptiles found in New Guinea. Exclusive to New Guinea are wild freshwater fish that are stated below that I have trouble pronouncing. With a wingspan of up to 28 centimeters, the New Guinea is also home to the world's largest butterfly, Queen Alexandra's birdwing. The biogeography of Guam. 2 of the birds unique to Guam that are only alive now as a result of captive breeding is the Guam rail, which is Guam's national bird since 2000, and the Guam kingfisher. The Mariana fruit bat is found only on Guam and Northern Marianas, is an endangered species. Guam is home to geckos, blue-tailed skinks, and chameleons. There are over 950 fish varieties found in Guam, and Guam has about 11 species of vascular plants known nowhere else. There are also over 300 types of coral and 220 species of algae in Guam. The Marianas crown fruit dove was the national bird of Guam until 2000. They are now extinct in Guam due to habitat loss and overhunting. The last sighting of this fruit dove in Guam was in 1985. A few of these birds can still be seen in various zoos in the United States. For the biogeography of Samoa, birds native to Samoa are the Samoan flycatcher, the Samoan fantail, the Samoan whistler, the Samoan triller, and the Samoan white-eye. There are large flying foxes, also known as a fruit bat, that are native to Samoa. There are also two large fruit bats, the white-naped fruit bat and the Samoan fruit bat. These bats are only native mammals to Samoa. In Samoa, a person can find quite a few lizards, centipedes, and millipedes. There are also two snakes in the beetle family and scorpions. There are 113 fish families that have been recorded in Samoan waters. Some of these are sturgeonfish, damselfish, parrotfish, and the wrasse. The native banyan tree is very important for wildlife and is considered by some the lifeline of Samoa's wildlife. There's two reasons that make them so important to Samoa's wildlife. First, they produce an enormous amount of fruit. Scientists have seen over 30 birds capable of eating out of one tree all at the same time. Secondly, banyans keep their fruit throughout the year, so when other fruit trees are out of season, animals can find food any time of the year in a banyan tree.
So for cultural groups for Guam, the main languages are English, Japanese, and Chamorro. And ethnic groups, 37% Chamorro, 26% Filipino, 11% Pacific Islander, 26% Japanese, Korean, and Caucasian. It is 85% Roman Catholic, and their culture is based on caring, accepting, and helping one another, where they respect the elderly, balance of genders, believe in superstitions like the Antini, which are spirits that dwell in the villages, and they believe that people who die a violent death go to a afterlife like hell, and people that die a peaceful death go to paradise. And they're famous for their Chamorro pottery, which dates back to over 3,000 years ago. Traditional foods include fish, rice, yams, breadfruit, coconut, and bananas. The original inhabitants of Guam are the Chamorro people in 2000 BC, founded by the Portuguese in 1521 and claimed by Spain in 1565. After the Spanish-American War of 1898, the United States got territory of Guam. Until 1949, the U.S. Navy administered Guam, and in 1944, Guam was liberated by American military and is now an organized territory of the United States. For Papua New Guinea, languages are many, as there are over 800 known languages. There are also many different ethnic groups and many different religions because of the vast amount of cultural groups, as there are over 7,000 different cultural groups with each their own customs, traditions, and languages. They're famous for their wood carvings, as they carve out their ancestors' shells as they were used before as currency, and sports, as rugby is the only sport as their national league. The history: the first settlers came 60,000 years ago before the Ice Age. In the 1600s, the Portuguese founded and named the land, which translates to Land of the Fuzzy-Haired People. And in the 1870s, the European settlers came throughout the years, and it was claimed by the Germans, the British, and the Dutch. After World War I, the Australians took control, and in 1975, Papua New Guinea declared its independence. For Samoa, the main languages are English and Samoan, as it is mostly Samoan and 7% Euronesian, which is mixed European and Polynesian. The main religion in Samoa is Christianity, as the first people to find Samoa were Christian missionaries, which influenced Christianity, as there is a church found in every village. Traditional customs in Samoa are the fail, which is the traditional looked thatched roof house, kava, which is a non-alcoholic drink that is made from a tropical pepper plant, and tattoos, which when males are 12 to 13, they get their first tattoos from the waist to the knees as a symbol of becoming a man. Music, dancing, and traditional sports are also a big part of their culture, as rugby is also very popular. The Europeans arrived in 1800s, and the missionary and tradesmen arrived in the 1830s. The United States claimed 2 islands, and Germany claimed the Western Islands. After World War I, New Zealand took control of German Samoa, and as Germany had to give it up due to the Treaty of Versailles, the country received its independence in 1962.
As for the political geography of Guam, they are considered a presidential representative democratic system. Their politics start with the Treaty of Paris in 1898, which ended the Spanish War and seceded over many territories to the U.S., Guam being one of these territories. The first thing that America implemented was a health and education reform. And in the 1930s, the Japanese took over, and in 1949, the U.S. naval government reestablished jurisdiction. The Organic Act of 1980 made Guam an unincorporated territory, giving them American citizenship, a civilian government made up of a governor and lieutenant governor, attorney general, and also a diplomat. As for the status of Guam, it's a bit controversial. Some hoped to make it a commonwealth or even a state. However, the U.S. would like for it to become more financially stable and self-sufficient before that happens. The political parties are Republican and Democratic. Moving on to the political geography of Papua New Guinea. After the World War II, the territories of Papua and New Guinea were aligned, and the Japanese were expelled. The Papua and New Guinea Act of 1949 gave them the name Territory of Papua New Guinea. Then they gave them a government system, judicial, and civil service. In 1964, they had their first House Assembly, giving the people a right to vote and a greater act in the government. The Papua New Guinea Independence Day is September 16th, 1975. The government is controlled by the head of state, or the Queen Mary, who is represented in Papua New Guinea by a government general chosen by Parliament. There are 3 levels of Papua New Guinea government: national, provincial, and local. In 2001, the integrity law was made, which strengthened integrity law, or the organic law of integrity of political parties and candidates. Strengthened the political parties within Papua New Guinea and the executive government. As for the parties, there are many different parties, but the one in greatest control is called the People's National Congress, or the PNC. Moving on to Samoa's political geography. They are called a parliamentary democratic state. They were taken over by the New Zealand. The U.S. and Germany had control of Samoa. However, New Zealand took it over and handed it over to the United Nations. The Independence Day for Samoa is January 1st, 1962. The head of the government is the Prime Minister. However, they also have a legislative and judiciary branch. The executive branch being headed once again by the Prime Minister, and the legislative in control of the 2 chambers by the Assembly. The judiciary is an independent. The Electoral Amendment Act, which gave universal suffrage to everyone in Samoa other than the Matai. Other than that, their political geography is based on the U.S. system. There are many parties in the Samoan, they have Democratic United Party, the Progressive Conservative Party, and the